And welcome back to Across the Board with Ian the Colonel here on hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com. When I think of some of my favorite voices, some of my favorite singer-songwriters of all time, I would definitely list this next gentleman. Just the voice, the lyrics, the emotion of the songwriting, the quality is unparalleled.
The talent level is just amazing.
Through the years, absolutely. Grant Lee Phillips is with us right now. Grant, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for the time. Again, one of the things that we like about a lot of the artists that we have on the show is that longevity. You write incredible music from the start of your career, going on through, Grant Lee Buffalo, and then going on, in your solo career. What do you credit that longevity to? Is it something in your life that continues to inspire you, or are you just lucky with a God-given talent? What is it?
Oh goodness, I think it's a lot of things. I mean, I guess the potential that one of these days I'm going to get it right. I'm gonna figure out just how to wrestle that song down and that it's still elusive and it's still out there, waiting to be trapped, and the fact that I've been recognized along the way here and there, that I've had the encouragement and the support of fans for a long while, and that definitely gives me a lot of inspiration and encouragement. So those two things, trying to be true to those people that have found me worth taking a listen to. But I'm going to give them something really. I'm going to cook you up something good. You wait. I'm going to go back in the kitchen. I'll be back. That's kind of my thinking.
Well, I mean, you have so much versatility, not just in your voice, but in your talent. You've been versed in so many different instruments. How did that come about? Was it just something you picked up on?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. The guitar is probably my first instrument, and that and my voice. But I found that as I venture to other instruments, I have a few hanging on the wall here. If it's the banjo or the keyboards, because those other instruments aren't necessarily my first instrument, I'm more apt to stumble into something that might inspire me. I might not know exactly what chord I've landed on, but that's the kind of thing that seems to open up my ears. And so I often turn to those things just for inspiration, and if nothing else.
Do you find yourself coming across new instruments that you want to integrate into your music as well?
Yeah, most definitely. The charango is one of my newer instruments. I don't even know if I've actually put anything out with that instrument yet, but it's sort of a Peruvian lute with 10 strings on it, a little bit like a ukulele, crossbred with a mandolin. But it's a sweet sound. I could almost grab it for you here. But those things, and yeah. But all of that said, it's pretty nice when you do return to your core instrument, which again for me is the guitar, and I've been kind of messing with tunings these days as well. I went through a period many years ago where I fiddled around with different tunings, and that could be the kind of thing where you would stumble into some odd chord or melody, and it just gets hard to do when you're out performing. You don't want to spend half the evening tuning, but I do get inspired by that kind of thing now and then. Sonic Youth made so much good use of crazy tunings.
Good call.
And I got Thurston Moore to scribble down one of their main tunings, and so I'm going to put that to good use.
Yeah, another incredible band. Good use. And do you have what was the instrument called?
The charango,
Charango,
or charango. Yeah, they would make them out of armadillos at one point. Just kind of a crazy, very non-PETA thing to do. But mine is not made out of an armadillo. It's made out of some sort of wood. So wood lovers can hate me, but armadillo lovers, we're on the same side.
and you said you have it there that you could actually strum, or?
Yeah, it's right.
Wow.
Sweet little instrument,
That is really an incredible. It does kind of sound like a banjo type deal, but that's a beautiful tone.
Yeah, and ukuleles. Ukuleles have had kind of a crazy resurgence. I think it's probably because of the security measures getting on an airplane that a lot of us have opted for smaller guitars. But I love instruments of all sorts, but it's usually the stringed, fretted ones that I most easily take to.
That is an interesting point. That it makes it easier to get on a plane with a ukulele or something like that. Now, speaking about
I swear it has something to do with that. For me, I was always looking for a smaller guitar, but my main one is this big jumbo I play. It's sort of like the Gibson that Elvis played around 1967, and George Harrison and a few others. It makes a big sound. It's got like a cannon. So that one works for me. When I'm playing with Grantley Buffalo, I play the 12-string.
Right.
That's another one. And we're doing some of that these days. I guess we've now dusting off some of the old Grantley Buffalo songs in Europe, and we've done a couple of shows in L.A. And there's probably going to be more of that. It looks like in 2012. That's good. In the works.
That's exciting to hear. Now, we were talking about instruments. Clearly, I think your best instrument is your voice. You have an incredibly unique voice, and I like, when you have someone with a great voice, I like to know what made you decide to sing for a living. What made you, I guess, have the courage to go out and sing and say people would want to hear me? Because if you were, any job in the world is respectable. I'm just saying, if you worked kind of a toll booth on a highway somewhere and we never got to hear your voice, that would be an incredible shame.
Well, I appreciate that. I was in a band called Shiva Burlesque for about 7 years when I first left home in Stockton, California, and I moved to L.A. And I did not have the courage to step up to the microphone. I basically co-wrote songs and played the guitar, and I stood at the back as another fellow, Jeff Clark, was took the microphone, and it was really my urges as a songwriter that pushed me into becoming a singer. And even becoming a songwriter was something that sort of snuck up on me. It was some point in my early 20s where I realized, wow, I've actually been doing this since I was about 14, writing these songs. So I think I'm probably a songwriter, but it wasn't something that I set out to do. It was just a compulsion. And singing is sort of the same thing. I wonder if I wouldn't have been a songwriter, what kind of singer I would be these days, because it's all sort of been at the service of the songs.
Okay.
What do you think that a lot of musicians nowadays are lacking? Do you think that they lack the ability to find their talent within themselves? Do you think they're lacking a good production, or are they just lacking the creativity, period?
Oh, I don't know. I think there's so many different types of performer, and maybe that's not even the best way to put it. Some people, you think about it, you go back to that period where singer-songwriters were so popular. People like Neil Young and Dylan and all the greats, Van Morrison. You wonder, how far any of them would have gotten on the American Idol audition stage.
It's true.
Yeah, Neil Young wouldn't have made it far.
Because it wasn't necessarily their strength to prance about the stage in every case. They may have not had the strongest voices, but they had quite unique delivery, and that's kind of a rare thing to find. And I don't know. It's hard to find that unique performer who is both a writer and a singer and a performer, the kind of person who could sing any song. I'd have to think about that for a little bit,
Yeah,
I don't know. Off the top of my head, probably Merle Haggard comes to mind. Mm-hmm. Crazy great voice, great songwriter, and really entertaining performer. Bowie, maybe,
Right.
You wind up in a very different category, though, a different kind of field when you're trying to hit all of those marks. A lot of great singers these days, though. That's for sure.
There seem to be a lot more voices out there, and I know that when I was first getting into you, discovering your music, I heard a lot of vocal versatility, and I likened you a lot to Gordon Lightfoot even. I just think to be able to hear that. I just think the versatility was there, and I hear it, and I immediately think of your songs being on, like the Time Life Singers and Songwriters edition. I see it fitting in there.
Well, again, thank you. I mean, I feel like, I have my little part of the field that's, part of the garden that is mine to kind of hone and my own marks to hit. But, everybody has different strengths. I think it's quite okay and great that there are people who are simply great vocalists that could just bring a song to life. The Aretha Franklins of the world.
Yeah.
And then there are the Vic Chestnuts of the world who have another beautiful gift, we'll always remember that music because of it.
Now, when I think of some of my favorite singers and songwriters, three of my top three, I think, are definitely you. I would say it's something with the name Phillips, Glenn Phillips, one of my favorites of all times as well. Friend of the show, has been on the show, and I would say James Taylor. So, yeah, who do you listen to currently? I mean, who are you into in any genre? What is on your iPod, or what do you relax to or fly to?
Goodness. Last week I dug out an old Billie Holiday record.
Outstanding.
And a couple of Neil Young albums. From way back when. Was it Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
It's an old record of his. A couple of his old albums that I've been cleaning my garage, and in doing so, I keep unearthing these great archaeological finds. So some of that stuff, But I've been in a writing mode, and quite often when I am in that kind of headspace, I don't listen to a lot of other things. I just kind of venture into my own stuff and let that kind of whirl around in my head. But those kind of people, Neil Young, I've mentioned a couple of times, I guess, are people that I always go back and listen to. I always find some kind of new depth. I listen to Astral Weeks. Hadn't heard that for a couple of years.
Okay.
And there's certain records that you can listen to again and again, and it's almost like it's the first time, because they have so much depth and so much scope. Terry Riley, I listened to the other day.
Wow.
Washing the dishes, yeah. A Rainbow and Curved Air. The record sounds like it was made in 10 years from now. But,
you really do have, that's a great collection. I'll tell you. Now, let me clarify to some of our younger listeners. Say if you're, 28, 27 or younger, a record is like a really big CD.
Yeah.
Let
me clarify. A CD is like a small plate with an MP3 on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking I've actually been making a point to tape a lot of the music. There was a great performance that Fleet Foxes did on Austin City Limits.
Fleet
Foxes. I don't know if you caught that. That was pretty great.
Yep.
There's a lot of cool bands that have those great voices and harmonies and trippy melodies and I don't know. I'm guessing most of them are in their 20s. But yeah, I mean, I should include them as well. Did you see the performance of Lana Del Rey on Letterman?
I did not, but I do like Lana Del Rey.
Everyone's talking.
Everybody's
about
talking about it. Yep, I was out of town.
Yeah. As much as she got sort of panned for her Saturday Night Live performance, which was kind of a little bit odd. She's got a great voice.
She does.
I don't know, man. It's so many great singers, and maybe the fact that we all have little recording studios in our phones, in our pockets.
Right.
Maybe that's more of a common thing, Music should be a pretty common thing.
What did you think of? Did you see this whole thing that Walk Off the Earth did? They covered Gautier's "Someone I Used to Know," and they all played the guitar. 5 people played the guitar at one time. Have you seen that on YouTube?
No.
It's incredible. Do you know the song? Do you know Gautier's "Someone That I Used to Know"?
No.
No. Okay, you have to check it out. You have to Walk Off the Earth, and Gautier is spelled Gotye. It's a guy from, I think he's from Belgium or something like that.
I think so.
But yeah, it's really cool. And they all 5 play the guitar, and one guy's just kind of strumming past the headstock, and one guy's just tapping on the body of its itself. It's an acoustic guitar, and then they're playing different things. It's crazy. It's like they broke Jack White into 5 people or something. But yeah, it's a really, really beautiful and innovative thing. I think, and incredible, and I think slightly better than Gautier's version. In my own opinion, but in any case, I digress.
Check that out.
Yeah, it's great. What do you look for? We talked about the different instruments that you use in an acoustic guitar, or we're talking about the 12-string or the 6-string or any of them. What type of tone do you look for? When you're choosing a guitar, you could have a Taylor, or a Martin, or a Fender, or any of these. What makes you comfortable with one certain instrument?
Well, for me, it's usually something that really supports my voice and makes me feel a little bit less alone with it. Something that has a lot of resonance and low end is kind of great. When it comes, that has more to do with when I'm performing by myself, though. If I'm recording, then some other instrument can take the low end, and then I can use ukuleles and the charangos and banjos and other things that don't necessarily have to take up the whole frequency range. But I like something that's pretty full. That's kind of how the 12-string developed for me when I was playing with Brantley Buffalo. We were a 3-piece, and I wanted to cover up, a lot of range, and so I wound up, playing the 12-string because the chords are big and shimmery, and then I ran it through a fuzz box, so I could be,
nice.
I could kind of divide my personality into a few different slices as well. I was involved with designing a guitar in the last year with the people at Schecter.
Okay.
And it's called the GLP-1. You can find it online. And it's basically a very cool parlor-style guitar that was inspired by the pre-war guitars of some 100 years ago, and it's a great little guitar. It has electronics built into it, but it looks like something that Led Belly or Woody Guthrie would have played. Although we haven't scrawled "This Machine Kills Fascist" into it, you'll have to do that on your own. but it's a great guitar that it just has a nice tone to it that sits in a great place, and the electronics are great. And they approached me about that. What I like to design, and that was something that I had been more and more interested in, these smaller bodied guitars as well.
Mobilize was like your big critically acclaimed album, and when you hear what people think of your albums, how does that make you feel? What do you feel like was your favorite album to record?
That was that album is a hybrid of things that I had recorded acoustically and then transferred and reinterpreted with electronic instruments, and Carmen Rizzo and I did that album 2001, something like that, I guess.
I believe so.
In terms of the ease of recording and just feeling really natural, the last one was such a great experience. Little Moon was so nice because we really just went in and performed it pretty much live in the studio, and the vocals, the guitars, all went down in that fashion, and didn't have to really think about it. And that's what I've realized over the years, that I sing better when I'm playing the guitar, and I play the guitar better when I'm singing, which is always tough when somebody comes to me and they say, we want to use that song in a movie. Give us the version without the vocals, and it's hard to do because there's a lot of bleed, this and that.
Right.
But,
oh yeah.
It's like the Reese's peanut butter cup situation. I've got peanut butter in my chocolate, and vice versa, and there's vocal in my guitar.
That's an incredible way to put it.
Makes for a much better human kind of performance. That's the one thing that I kind of focused more and more on these days. Just how can I get something emotional across? And it's kind of staggering just how simple it all comes down to. At some point, I've realized, that, wow, just give me one microphone and my guitar, and let me just step up and do what I do, and that's probably going to be the best emotionally affecting kind of thing I can do, It doesn't make sense. It seems like it should be more complicated than that, but it's not,
Do you find it frustrating, to build off of something you just touched on, do you find it frustrating when someone wants to use your music and then asks you, could you take out the lyrics? Does that kind of unnerve you a little bit?
I can't say that it's something I've really struggled with. They usually want to have both things. You know, they want to have something they can if they can take the voice down around dialogue. That happens, you know, when you're using, you know, a song for film or television. And I've also had,
Go ahead. That was static.
You know, my experience as I've also been a composer for film and television, so I'm a little bit accustomed to the sometimes interesting, challenging requests that you get. You know, how to we love the song, but we want to make it faster. You know, we want to do this and that, and so composers have to jump through a lot of hoops to accommodate. It's usually the case that as a songwriter, you've written the thing, and they're aware that you can only do so much to it, and they try to work with that. But in this other life that I have as a film and television composer, it's anything is possible, and you will get those challenges
across the board.
You just kind of have to roll with it and know that you're going to get paid, you know, at the end of the day, and with that, you can buy another charango or another banjo.
I like it. Across the board with one of our favorite singers, one of our favorite voices of all time, Grant Lee Phillips. Grant Lee, if you know the world has 10, 15 minutes left in it and then everything's wrapping up, what is the last song that you would like to hear or perform? Yours or anybody else's, just the last song that you hear in life.
Oh. Groucho Marx's Hello, I Must Be Going comes to mind. Happy Trails? Something like that. Something,
really?
You know. Yeah, I think so.
That's a unique answer. I like that.
Yeah, that's definitely one we haven't gotten.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we've gotten some strange ones that just don't even pertain. But I like where you're going from that. It's kind of your way of.
I would make sure it was a short song, you know.
There's that too. I mean, but it's just, I like that though. It's one of those songs you don't really think of, but it's a way of saying, "Thanks, guys. I've had fun."
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It gives back.
To you until we meet again.
See, there you
Roy
go.
Rogers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Cover it. Bring it back. Let's do it.
Just Mike.
Yeah, with the charango.
A little bit of programming, maybe a rap section. I think we've got them, guys.
Get Skrillex in there, make it a dubstep version.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
let's do it. Yeah.
Let's not.
Hey, Grant Lee, what does the future hold? You know, for Grant Lee Buffalo, for Grant Lee Phillips. You know, when we were off air, I was completely fictionalizing a tour for you, telling you where you would be in the next few weeks.
Right.
Which was completely made up. But in any case, you know, what does the near future hold?
Grant Lee Buffalo is in the process of booking dates for some European festivals. Sometime around spring, we're planning to hit the road again and do some special dates. No new album in the works or anything like that. It's more about getting out and playing the old songs and just having a good time doing it. Meanwhile, I'm writing a new album. I've pretty much got it all in the can. It's a very acoustic album, and I'm just figuring out, you know, how to wrap that all up right now, and also looking to score more film and television work. You know, all of the above, really.
So, if there was a TV,
my average day.
If there was a TV show like you ideally would love to write for that you haven't, is there one particularly on your mind that it would be like almost a dream come true to write for?
Oh goodness, that's a good question. That's a very good question. I don't know. I mean, I love the more left of center shows. You know, I was a fan of Twin Peaks and 6 Feet Under.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of shows. I don't know. Maybe there's another Deadwood in the works. For all I know, something where I could haul out my rusty old banjo and goodness.
Oh, you know what you could how about Hell on Wheels? That show is on AMC. That might work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good good idea.
There you go.
I did play I don't know if you were fans of Lost.
Yes.
Every now and then you hear some very forlorn ukulele come in, and that was me playing the ukulele. Michael Giacchino scored the show, and he and I have worked together on a few different projects, and so he would call and say, "I've got a song for you," and I would track some ukulele.
Nice.
So I'm moonlighting in the strangest of places.
Hey, whatever the creative outlets you find, and they all work.
Yeah, well, that was pretty fun. I love that show. I love spooky shows that kind of keep me guessing. X-Files, I love that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, when it existed.
Well, there's that River, that new show is supposed to be like a Lost type deal. I think it's the same producers, right? But
Oh, right.
Spielberg,
I've become a big fan of Portlandia. I kind of was from the moment I pushed play. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't, but I've heard great things.
It's so insane. I can't even describe it except that Fred Armisen, is part of it, and that's got to be warped and brilliant. So I don't know, a lot of things out there.
Have you caught any of Alcatraz then?
Is that a new program?
Yeah, it's the same guy that did Lost, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, it's on
right.
CBS,
Fox.
There you go. It's on Fox. There you go.
It's basically it's so hard to describe. I'm not sure where I sit with it yet. I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in where I've kind of paid attention to it, but I'm not sure. There's something supernatural. It seems like that's involved.
Yeah, somehow the prisoners from Alcatraz before it closed all disappeared. Yeah, in some conspiracy, and now they're slowly coming back in present day and killing people. It's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
even the Birdman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think it could use ukulele, but you can put something on there for sure. It's an interesting.
Maybe an old tin cup on some metal bars.
How awesome would that be? Record that. That would be incredible. Yeah, I love that.
A harmonica.
Yeah, harmonica.
Wailing in the distance.
Can you play the harmonica?
We've got our palette now.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You put your mouth on it and you blow. I mean, it's the harmonica.
Can't be that hard, right?
Right. The washboard.
Yeah.
Maybe some washboard in there. I don't know. Grantley,
there you go.
Last question. How do you know when a song is finished? When you're in the writing process, how do you know I need to leave it alone now, as opposed to could use a couple more tweaks?
Oh boy, that's a good question, and I'm probably the worst person to ask that. To answer that. I have found that, like, if I, these days, if I write a song and I go out, record it, I don't think about it, and maybe I don't even listen to it for a couple of days, then I come back to it, and it will hit me in terms of what it needs or if it's done. So it helps to have a little bit of time away from it for me. Then I can get a little more objective. But that's sort of where I'm at right now, because I've got this body of work, and I'm wondering, goodness, I love recording, and maybe I could just keep on working on it, and I don't know. I think you just know. You come to a point where you're accustomed to signing off on the given song. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it has to do with, like, there are other songs to get to. I have to move on to writing other things, and that's a great question, though. It's very hard.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I know there are Dylan songs where he's still chipping away at them.
There's always a remix phase, later on down the line, I'll tell you. Well, GrantleyPhillips.com. You're on Facebook. You're on MySpace. The MySpace is still around, apparently. You're a little bit of everywhere. So,
I haven't been there in so long.
It's still up there, but everybody goes to Facebook these days, or Twitter and everything else on Earth, whatever will be next. But and all of the updated anything you can find there, will be where Grantley Buffalo is, where Grantley Phillips is, and hopefully news of a release date of that new album that you were just talking about sometime soon. We'd love to have you back on the show to talk a little bit more about that as well. And
that'd be an honor. That'd be great.
Oh, no, come on now, thanks. And we'd love to see you live at some point. That would be incredible as well. So,
I'm starting to venture out a little more here on the West Coast, and in the coming year there will be more dates.
Good, great.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks again to Grantley Phillips, and I'm E. He's the Colonel. Be back in a few minutes on hawkradio.org
and acrossboardradio.com.